Hey, it's Joe Crump. Got another question here. This one is from Jack Olsen. Jack says, I got this note from a seller I contacted about a rent-to-own. How would you respond? I read the FAQ on your site to understand how it works. The business seems to be more interesting for the buyer than the seller. Let me explain. Imagine there's a property that is worth $100,000 today. The trend is to increase the value by 8 to 10% a year. So while the buyer is paid $12,000 a year, it'll take over 8 years to reach 2014 market value, and in 2022 the property might cost $188,000. The seller doesn't have cash to buy another property. The buyer is likely to change the property according to his or her tastes, and it might be really difficult to have an eviction since nobody wants to lose 5 years rent to buy in case of losing a job. Am I wrong? If you have more information about it, feel free to express your views. Well, just to reiterate what he said here, is he's concerned that he's in an upswinging market. He thinks that the values are going up 8 to 10% in the market that he's in, and he's concerned that the seller will feel that it doesn't make sense to do a lease option because the values might go up over the 3-year lease. He's saying a longer lease here, 8-year lease, that the seller might be concerned that the values might go up over that time and then lose some of his equity when that buyer eventually exercises the option. So here's the thing, though. There's nobody that knows where the market's going, but people have a feeling about it. So if somebody says to you, okay, I'm in X market and this market is going up, 25% per year or 10% a year, and so your question to them would be, well, how much do you think it's going to be worth in 3 years when people have the right to exercise the option within that period of time? And if they say, well, let's say it goes up 10% a year, it's a $200,000 property, it's going to be up to $260,000 at that time. Okay, so if it's going to go up to $260,000 in 3 years, what if we price it close to that? What if we raise the price? Because buyers will purchase a property on a lease option for more than it's worth, thinking that it might go up in value as well. And if it doesn't, they don't have to buy it. And if it does, then the seller gets his equity out of the property. Now, you might want to give them a little bit longer. You might want to give them only 3 years. That's okay. Either way works. What's most important to the buyer is the monthly payment. What's most important to the seller is that he have somebody in there making the payments for him. Most sellers have a property that they haven't sold yet, or they don't want to sell. They want to hold on because, in this case, maybe it'll go up in value. So let's just sell it for what he thinks he's going to be able to get it for in 3 years. The likelihood is that the buyer is never going to buy this property. Less than 30% of lease option buyers will ever exercise the option. So the likelihood of that happening is pretty low. It would have to dramatically go up even beyond that for the people to normally buy this property. Now, that doesn't mean that it's a bad thing for the buyer. The buyer still gets a place that they can call their home. Just like if you have a mortgage on your property, you have a place that you can call your home. Even though it's not yours, you're still making payments on that mortgage. The bank owns that property. Just like in this situation, the seller owns that property. And of course, the bank actually owns it because he's making payments to the bank in most cases. So those things aren't really a big worry. You've got to look at the seller's situation, the buyer's situation, look at their options rather than look at it directly on paper and say, well, if you're, if you're in hog heaven and you got lots of money and you don't need to lose, you're not worried about losing this money, maybe it makes sense to sell it with a real estate agent. And maybe that is true. Maybe you just want to get rid of it with a real estate agent. But if you're having a difficult time selling it with an agent, or if you just want to try to make a little bit more money on the property, which is a big thing for me. I like to continue to hold on to properties forever if I can. So selling it for more money like this on a lease option makes a lot of sense because you're probably going to hold on to it. And if you do sell it, that's okay. You can do a 1031 exchange and you don't have to pay any taxes on it, and you can buy another property, perhaps under market value, and make money on that one. So there's real benefits to the seller in this situation as there are with the buyer. All right, hope that answers it. Thanks.